guest this afternoon is Mr. Mark Kerr-Jarrett, CD, JP. So Jarrett is the managing director and owner of Barnett Limited, a family business he has led since 1989. He is a graduate of the Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University. Yes, and he did mechanical engineering. During his career, he has undertaken many local development projects, including the Barnett Tech Park, which has benefited the development of expansion of Montego Bay through the visioning and implementation of the Montego Bay South Master Plan to develop the company-owned lands in Montego Bay. Mark is a past president of the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and Industry and chairman of the St. James Parish Development Committee. He's currently the chairman of the CWJ, Flow, director of the Global Services Association of Jamaica, and sits on the UDC Advisory Board for Montego Bay. In 2012, he became a founding director of the Business Processing Industry Association of Jamaica, now known as Global Services Association of Jamaica. Good afternoon, Mr. Kerr-Jarrett. How are you?
Good afternoon, Vernon. How are you? Very well, thank you.
I was in your city over the weekend, yes, and I enjoyed the beautiful moon. It was beautiful, just peeping over the hills there, it was beautiful, I must tell you.
I think it was almost a full moon, so.
Yes, it was a full moon. It was a lovely sight, and of course, I took some pictures. So tell us a bit, anything outstanding happening in the West, in Montego Bay?
I think there've been a lot of great announcements, especially in tourism, with
Yes,
regards to the new developments that are taking place in Rose Hall. The bypass road is coming on very well. The Long Hill bypass has been started, so we're really very appreciative to that infrastructure investment, as it will make traversing the city and doing business in general that much easier.
yeah, because driving through Montego Bay is like, park in a parking lot.
It can be very challenging, yes.
Mhm. Anything else happening? I wonder.
Um, I think we have the other developments taking place, and the activity is good.
Yeah.
So we're really blessed. We're grateful
Mhm.
for everything, and I think shortly we will be seeing the benefits of the discipline that we have had, and the leadership from the government
Yes.
regarding the stabilization of the macroeconomic environment. Um, and I think we really need to express our appreciation to the whole of Jamaica, and not just the leadership, for guarding our loins at this during the last 10 years, which has been very, very difficult.
Yes.
But we have now, been able to create the kind of macroeconomic environment where investment and social investment can take place. But let me qualify that statement by saying we have to really ensure that we protect the progress that we have made, and that we don't squander it with reckless spending.
I
For
wonder
the
how we do that, Mr.
expectation,
Kerr-Jarrett. We have done that a few times. So
I
how do
know,
you
but
stop that?
I hope that we have learned, and I think the current government has shown the discipline and has shown the leadership, and also related very well the essential nature of being conservative and deliberate in our actions. And
Well,
so, for anything that we look to do down the road in the way of social development, that we do
yes.
it in a measured fashion.
I
And I
like
think
you
this is
said that.
something that, Prime Minister Holness has been very articulate on, and that we have to really, watch our expectations, and that we don't think, no, you just run wild. We have to be deliberate and very protective of the of the grounds that we have made. We've reduced the debt to GDP by 50%, and we have got efficiencies up, crime is down. The Prime
NIR is
Minister
up.
announced last night, a big thrust in housing. So, we really have to be supportive of the progress and protective of it as well.
But Mr. K. Jarrett, if politicians alone talk, we tend to be very cynical, depending on which side I am on, then they're doing good or they're doing badly. So that is why we have people like you on. We need ordinary business people and other people to speak and to inform the nation so we can get a better picture. Now, one thing you mentioned about the macroeconomics, and I hear my little friends in Manchester and Chile, they say macroeconomics, and what am I talking about? Me not feel nothing in my pocket at all. How do you respond to that?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, that is the nature of the framework, is that in order to get the macro done, you can't do the micro at the same time. And it
Yeah,
is the micro that people feel in their pocket.
I see. So it's like if I have to work first and make more money before I have anything extra to spend, give the family.
Yeah, it's if you put it into the kind of likelihood of building a house,
Yes.
you have to build a house and put on a roof before you can put bed in there.
You can't go sleep in a house without roofing.
Right? Because
I hear you.
rainfall will go wet you up and you're going to catch cold and all kind manner of things. So I
Yes, yes.
would say, the macro is building the house and getting the structure right. And the micro is furnishing it and putting it in the appliances so that it is now in a living condition so you can be comfortable.
And you can enjoy the benefits. But what you have to understand, Mr. Kerr-Karrett, is that we don't learn those things in school. We learn the English and the mathematics and the physics and the chemistry. But understanding life and understanding how things work, I don't think much of that is done in the schoolroom. They just educate us to go and get a job.
But and I think that's something the Prime Minister touched on the other day in an
Yes,
address, was the doing business and getting young people into business. And what is just as important as the interest rate is the understanding of how important a business plan is, of understanding financial accounting,
hmm
and also the registration with the company's office and the TAJ. And it's really a holistic scene. And I believe part of that principles of doing business, which should be taught, and all of the home economics and textiles and cosmetics should not even come into the educational equation until after GCSE.
yes.
And civics, history, English, math, and principles of business need to be taught so that, as
Right
you
now, only the
said,
students who specialize in principles of business are studied as far as I know.
but I think everybody should do it, because
Yeah.
no matter what you do, you are in some form of business. And it is also fundamental to understanding how the state runs and how businesses run, what taxes are paid and why they're paid, how to do it, and how to be successful. Because whether you budget for a business or you budget for your household, it is still budgeting and it is still important, and the principles remain the same. And I think, we have to understand the macro side. You have to build a house before you can buy the furniture.
Before you can go live in it.
Yeah, and I think that's where we are. We have now, I believe, through the past 10 plus years of tremendous sacrifice
Yes,
and a
tremendous
lot of hard
sacrifice.
work by,
Yes,
I'd really like to put my kudos out to Dr. Nigel Clark,
yes.
that we now have the house. But the house is still fragile, you know?
I did hear that. So the house is what?
The house is still fragile.
What do you mean by that?
We are still susceptible to external shocks,
Oh,
you know?
you mean
Say
like hurricane?
hurricanes, earthquake,
Earthquake.
and all of that.
An
And
earthquake comes
and
without
also
warning.
to Also, the other thing is that suppose you build the house and you over mortgage it to buy the furniture,
Yes.
you then lose everything,
Oh Lord.
right?
Hmm.
So we have to make sure that we don't over mortgage the house
Hmm.
and that we buy the furniture and do the micro in a controlled and disciplined manner to ensure that at no time do we jeopardize the actual house itself.
And we have a young generation here, they don't know what it is to spend what you don't have. And I don't think we teach young people again those things. For example, you can have what you going to see that? I'll forget it already, Mr. Jarrett. You can have drink champagne from a beverage packet.
Or what is it? You have to cut your cloth to your budget or something like that?
Yes, you can hang your basket too high so you can reach it. These
Yeah.
are the little things that we were taught when we were youngsters. I don't think we are sharing those things with the young people again. Therefore, they don't understand certain concepts which years ago, a man who could even sign his name, as I say, if you write his name and dumpling him name, it's the same way. But he learned those things, and by learning them, he was a wise man, whether or not he could read. Now, you have persons leaving probably university and they don't understand those simple things. And if you don't understand those simple things, the degree can help you. Guess what? We're going to go for a quick break and then come back and we will be hearing more from you. And I like how you're putting it in language that we all can understand. Our very special guest is Mr. Mark Kerr-Karrett, a businessman and managing director and owner of Barnett Limited, a family business that he has led since 1982. This is Vernon Darby saying to you, stay with us. So come back. Don't move. Welcome back. You're listening to Spot On with Vernon Darby coming to you live from Kingston, Jamaica. Yes, this is Be My Guest, and my guest is Mr. Mark Kerr-Karrett. Yes, Mr. Jarrett, you were meant to talk about the macro and the micro, and I said to you that not everybody will understand that if you're trying to fix a macro, you're talking about your debt to GBT, your NIR and other things, and get your economy so structured that you put it on a productive path. Meaning, therefore, just like how you and I need to make money, the country can make money. Then you can do other things that you would like to do, and we refer to that as a micro level. So we have to get things working the economy on the macro level. Now, you mentioned that things with houses there now, but pretty fragile, so we have to be careful. But people continue to make demands. The roads need to be fixed, and that needs to be done. But I think sometimes people don't understand that whatever the government does, doesn't matter which party is in power, that money has to come from the people. And if the people do not provide the money, then you probably have to borrow. And if you borrow more money from overseas, then they might end up having to go back to the IMF.
Yep, definitely. And that is why, I think one of the pushes that has been taking place with the macroeconomic strengthening is also tax compliance because I think we're not nearly where we need to be and with business registration. And
Yes,
so I think it is only fair that everybody and every business is properly registered with the company's office and with the tax authority in order to share the load. And in that way, you have more PAYE, you have more NIS, NHT, HART, EdTax, and all of that will help to start to fill the gaps, the fiscal gaps that are needed in order for us to make the social investment in housing, health, police stations, roads, and all the other necessities
yes.
to furnish the house so that it is livable.
Now, there are some people who feel that we need to move away from PAY and move more to GCT. What's your thinking on it? People feel that's a more efficient way. And what you'll be doing, you'll be taxing people according to what they consume, rather depending on what they earn, because you want people to produce more, you want people to even probably work longer hours, but we tend to penalize those people. What's your thinking on that?
I mean, if you're looking at it just strictly from an equity position,
Yes,
then, currently where we have an input-based tax system,
yes.
where the more you put into the economy is the more you're taxed on it. When if you really, I believe if we wanted it to be equitable, it would be an output-based tax system,
I
i.e.,
see.
what you take out of the economy
Yes, yes.
is what you get taxed on.
Mhm.
And in that way, maybe, removing GCT, no, sorry, removing PAYE and replacing it with a GCT and maybe a special consumption tax on the
Yes.
luxury items. So you have a graduated tax. Of course,
Mhm.
you would have to still have your protected zero items that protect the
Poor
essential
and
items
the
that are
vulnerable.
needed
Mhm.
by the most challenged in the society.
Yes.
But, and then you have a standard GCT on all items. And then on what you could classify as luxury items, you could then put a special consumption tax on, or I mean, I don't want to call it a luxury tax, but
Yeah.
you if you want something extra special, then be prepared to pay a little bit more for it.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
I mean, on an equity basis, I think, an output-based tax system would work. It would be, I believe it would be easier to enforce because you do it at the cash register.
Yes,
And
yes.
there are less cash registers than there are people. So therefore, it would be easier to monitor. And
Mm.
now with point of sale systems and all of the kind of integrated technology into sales, that would be an easy way to trace it, and the machines
Capture it.
would
Yeah.
actually capture everything. So the likelihood of manipulation and evasion or evasion would be a lot harder.
At this time, I'm sure you probably have thought about it. What do you think well, you mentioned about the macroeconomy and the micro aspect of it, but there are some things that public government needs to prioritize. In your mind, what would you see as some things that government should prioritize? Whether you have well, you are going to have a new government come September 3 or 4.
I was I'll be honest with you, Vernon. I was listening to the Prime Minister's presentation last night, and I was really encouraged by the 70,000 homes that they're
Oh,
going to
yes,
do, because
yes.
housing is really essential. And
Especially where you are in Montego Bay, where you have quite a number of workers in the tourism sector there, and many of them, that's why you probably have the increase in squatting.
yeah. So I believe, that we really need to support that housing thrust that the Prime Minister has put forward.
Yes,
However, I'd just like to put a little kind of clarifier in it, is I think in the whole housing equation, I would really love us to see how we can go into the squatter settlements and formalize those. Because, that will bring a lot of revenue into the system.
yes.
It will bring in the rule of law. Jason McKay in The Observer yesterday wrote a good article on how the informal communities can be a hotbed for crime and like a place where the criminals can hide. So in formalizing it, you bring the rule of law, you bring all of those households into the tax net. You give the people the dignity of owning their own homes. You give them collateral and wealth, and you reduce crime. And you also increase the legal connections to the utilities, which will reduce the costs to all the rest of us. And that we really look at building housing where it's needed and where planned developments are going to take place.
Hold that point for me. So we look at the housing development. As I finish this thing, I'd like to point out to you. And that is when we talk about formalizing the informal settlers, it is normally just seen as giving them land titles. But many of these informal settlements, they are not built in such a way to encourage people to grow and the children to develop in a socially acceptable way. You open your door, you're looking into somebody's bedroom. The fire service cannot get into some of those areas. There are fire hazards. People are so crowded, and where people are crowded, they're going to behave like bees. I would say bees, because bees are organized. But you get the point I'm trying to get. So formalizing the informal sector in terms of housing should be not just be just giving them a land title.
No, no, it has to include, going into the community, doing an as-built survey, and
Yes.
overlaying on that the best fit infrastructure, but adequate infrastructure so that mass transit and you put in the schools and the other agencies that are needed to create a community. And
Well,
it's not.
you know what I find interesting? Oftentimes we say people can't afford it. And that is true because some people are really living in abject poverty. But when I take, for example, if you look at the University of the West Indies and a settlement that is right in front of the university, I don't know if you have been there recently. It started out with a little house, and two, then three, then four. What you have now are extensive buildings, concrete structures which poor people can't build. Now, when you allow that kind of structure to develop, you're going to have a major problem if you say you're going to hit them down. And I'm telling you, the way they have been constructed, they're not approved. If you have an earthquake, the good Lord help us. I was hope that we would have some laws which would regulate those areas. For one, we should be able to control the density. We should say to people, there'll be no more extensions as of now. But as far as I know, you have no such laws. And one of these days, you're going to find that you can't do anything about them. Right now, you're even at the university, right in front of the university. What can you do? And it has become a hotbed for crime. University students can't just walk from the hospital, go up to Papine. It's dangerous.
But I think you can do that because part of the whole formalization and the
Yes,
putting in the infrastructure, you could actually put conditions on the titles,
yes.
that will prevent them legally from doing any expansions.
But it should
And
be
if
done
at a
from
later
now.
date, on the house,
Yes.
and at a later date, if they want to get a mortgage or they want to sell the unit, they will not be able to do it if they have breached the covenants on the title.
Yeah.
And it just, it requires, I think, some structure, and it can be done within the existing legal framework that we have.
But at the time, at this point, many of these places, they have no title for them. So we would have to have an overall caveat on the area saying you cannot expand. And for one, no one should be allowed to put up a structure without it being approved. So basically what is happening, people are being allowed to do what they want to do without any controls. But at the same time, I'm the first to say we have to come up with a system so that those who have been thrown off the land for probably a few hundred years now are able to settle somewhere and settle somewhere where they can live decently, that will allow for the socialization of people. Can you imagine everybody pack up on one another and a couple, they want to do their business, and the children in the room next day, they must hear everything? No, man, you have a challenge.
Yeah. And that's where I think an overarching housing policy, and that's why I'm so encouraged with this announcement of the 70,000 homes, because
Yes.
if we can build the houses to meet the demand, then squatting won't become necessary.
But then
And
the whole society has become productive. Well, the unemployment rate is very low.
yeah.
So everybody needs to start getting a little work. And if more people are working, means therefore if you put in certain infrastructure, they can now be able to purchase a bit of land. So I guess what is needed is to keep the unemployment low and to encourage people to save a little money. All
Yes,
right,
and
good.
that's part of maintaining the macroeconomic stability.
Ah, there it comes back again. I hope everybody get used to it, and I hope everybody preach the word about the importance of that house. You have to make sure the house stay good and that is strong and that is stable, because you can't build up a little house. You can't build up grass house. Next thing you know, you can fire body down and you build up grass house. A little breeze blow come and it's blown down. And if it's blown down, you'll have nowhere to sleep. So if you buy bed and everything, all of that will be gone. I
Yeah,
love
and
that idea.
if you start to see cracks in the house, those repairs take priority over all other spending.
Right? It's a kid giant, you know what I say? Let's take a quick little musical break. You stay online, stay with us. Then we come back, we continue. We have another 5 minutes when we come back. So we're going to have a short musical break. We're listening to Spot On with Vernon Darby. And my very special guest is a businessman on Montego Bay, Mr. Mark Kerr-Karrett. And as you listen to him, you hear a stable Jamaican talking. And I believe we need to hear more from people like him. I'll be calling him because sometimes, well, we must hear from our politicians, sometimes a lot of hot air comes out. You see? So come back. Don't move. Welcome back. You're listening to Spot On with Vada Darby, coming to you live from Kingston, Jamaica, that beautiful country in the middle of the Caribbean Sea, where we say, well, we're little but with Taloa. Let's go back now to our guest, special guest, Mr. Mark Kerr-Karrett. Uh, my brother, we have a few minutes left, and you just might have to join us next week again, because I think we need to hear that stable voice speaking to us. And I think as an experienced businessman, you know it. You mentioned housing, of course. I'm pushing my bit for low unemployment rate because we need to get more people working. And sometimes we're not happy with the pay we are getting, but we only hope we can get a little pay so we can save a little money with the credit union. So when the opportunity comes, we can probably pay down on a piece of land or a house. What else do you see as priorities that probably the government should look at now and even after the election?
I would say education, and this is where the new minister Dana Morris Dixon, Senator Dana Morris Dixon, is really charging ahead very, very methodically.
Yes.
And the whole return to the fundamentals of literacy and numeracy is really essential.
Before you go
Um,
further, I must tell you, I am happy to know that I've been on this campaign for many years. Well, since I've been back on radio, probably about 12 years. This idea of moving children from class to class, whether or not they are competent in the area that they are in now, is a bad idea. Whoever came up with that idea should be charged. How do you expect a child to go from grade 1 to grade 11? They're not competent at grade 2 or 3. Then they're going to graduate and what they get no certificate and graduate in expensive clothes. It's stupid. And I say to myself, how could we ever preside over a situation like that? It just doesn't make sense.
yeah, and it's unfair to the children too, Verna,
Yes,
because all of a sudden the child walks up the aisle in their gown and cap with no credentials, but yet when they come out into the real world, they're unemployable.
yes,
And so therefore performance based upgrading has to be done from the school all the way through.
right.
And if you don't meet the qualifications, you don't move on. You go round the mountain again
Yes, yes,
until you have made the grade. And I don't think any child should be allowed to graduate or leave high school if they have not got a minimum of English and mathematics,
mhm.
right? Because
And I
without
would add a
those,
skill, I'd add a skill also.
and you can add a skill, but
Yeah,
and that's the other thing is vocational training.
right.
But a person's capacity to do vocational training is based on their knowledge of the English language and their performance in mathematics and all of those semi scientific issues, but literacy and numeracy is key to everything.
Yes.
That is the foundation. And it's where I am really, really encouraged that Senator Dana Morris Dixon is pushing us back in that direction.
But you know
And
what we need to do? We need to look at the kind of education, how we educate the youngsters. For example, I'm one who believes when a child is 3, 4, and 5, my God, that picnic can sit in that classroom for 2, 3 hours. Many adults can't even sit down for even half an hour. Let the child go out and play and learn. And I can tell you, children can learn and play at the same time. They go
well,
out there.
Chippy McGregor or the Dr. McGregor, his
Yes,
mother was a big proponent of child development and an expert in it. And one of the things that she did, and she proposed to Jamaica a while back, is developing programs for children where play is part of the learning process.
yes, yes.
And you just have to engage the child and the individual at the level at which they're at
Mhm.
and make learning fun.
Can you
And once you
imagine?
can make learning fun,
Yes.
they'll want to do it by themselves. You
Can you
pique their
imagine?
curiosity.
Mhm. Can you imagine you have a game where you have two teams and those children have to go out and pick up 5 stones each, and then they have to check into so many stones they have,
Yeah.
and then they need to.
There's a game that we used to play with our children
Yes,
called Cash Flow. And it was all about starting businesses, and
yes,
selling businesses and with equity. And, it just goes to show that you can make learning fun.
yes.
And we just have to invest in the research. And also, we have to be willing to change the way we think.
And by the way, before you go out, you have to be. I'll invite you to join us back next week. There's this feeling that if you expand the hours in school, have 2, 3 more hours, the kids will learn more. No, 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 no. You can probably have them for 2, 3 hours. And depending on how you impart the knowledge, they enjoy it, they will learn more than far more than rather than just sitting down, listening to somebody lecturing them for 5, 6 hours, which is what you find even at the university. I remember when I went to the university, they had to be writing notes on what is a diskette. I got quite annoyed. I said to the lecturer, why the hell you don't carry a diskette, come to school and carry a computer so we can see it? He was not impressed at all. And he didn't carry it. I didn't need him to tell me what it is. I look at it and I figure out and I see the computer, I see the keyboard. You don't have to tell me what's a keyboard. Man.
Yeah, no, I agree. Because it is quality, not quantity. Because you don't want the children to resent school by almost turning it into, a compulsory, unpleasant activity.
Exactly what is
And
happening.
so, therefore, we have to find fun ways, which we, especially in the early childhood and primary section. Now, in secondary and tertiary, the children need to be able to exhibit the discipline to invest in themselves and
Guess what?
realize that
I don't know
what
if
they're
it is
doing
you
is an
or
investment in their own capabilities.
sorry to interrupt, but if you are, I have been enjoying this too much. We don't realize that there's a thing called time. So I'm gonna ask you to make your final comment in 1 minute before we have to leave you.
I think we've covered the subjects. I just like to say to you, Vernon, thank you very much for this opportunity to be able to share some thoughts and ideas, to Jamaica and the Jamaican people who are the best in the world. And I praise the Lord for this opportunity and I thank you.
And you'll be given it again because sometimes you hear pure noise, and sometimes you need somebody like you with less noise so we can understand some more. Thank you very much, Mr. Mark Kerr-Karrett. You have a
Thank you,
wonderful day.
Vernon. God
Take
bless.
care. All the best. My God.